Hello everybody, welcome to the Labyrinth of Limitations. For this episode, I thought we would take a look at a recording by Barry Harris of All the Things You Are from 1958 from the album Breaking It Up. And we're going to look at one particular moment. But he is borrowing all over the place in this recording. So we're looking at the middle section. That's what he does. And then I could go on, do the sound again of borrowing. He does it here. Here. I mean, I'm just approximating the general sound world that he's exploring. But I have really more specifically, it's not exact, it's not a transcription, but it's pretty close, and I'll link to the recording, YouTube video of the recording so you can check out the exact moment. It's right first time he hits the middle section of the song. Pretty. So this is the moment we're going to look at. And when I was first thinking of this, and I hadn't listened to the recording yet, I was just playing it in my head, I thought maybe it was this. Whoops. Which is pretty also. Let's compare the differences. They're the exact same borrowing. Oh, and I need to tell you what's happening in there, huh? This is D dominant 7th. So it's D dominant 7th, but instead of D dominant 7th, we're playing the tritones minor, which is the minor 6th chord, a half step up from D. And it's always important to know why we play a minor 6th chord, a half step up from D. And the reason why is because we like the tritone substitution of D, because it's family of D. So here's D7. Here is the diminished, from which D7 comes, because all I got to do is flatten E flat to D. But I can also, instead of doing that, I can flatten the A flat, and that is A flat 7, which is a tritone away from D, and is the tritone substitution. And if I take that same voice and go up instead of down, so A goes up to B flat instead of down to A flat, that is the 6 on the 5, the minor 6 on the 5 for A flat dominant 7. And that's important to know. And that's what we're using here. It has a beautiful sound. It has the flat 9 in it and the sharp 5. And lots of beautiful stuff when you explore the full scale between the on chord and the off chord. Episode 2 on substitutions talks about this. I think it's episode 2. Yeah. And I talk about it there. So what we're doing is we're playing that harmony. So imagine a third in the bass, like the first inversion chord. So third in the bass, as opposed to root position. So, but it's D is the root. That's what we're doing. I'm just going to look at the bottom 3 notes of this drop 2, and that's my shell. So I have my shell, and I could practice just the shell. And that's pretty. But if we're not borrowing, we're not living. So we have to borrow. So what if we borrow one note? That's pretty. We could also borrow this note. That's pretty. But what I'm hearing Barry doing is something more like this. And then he does it again, an octave up. And so what that is, the way I see that is I'm taking a shell chord and I'm seeing that there's a third on the top, and I practice my thirds. So I practice that, so I can see that, so I can go, and that's pretty, so I can do that. But the way I first heard this, before I'd sit down with the recording, was I thought instead of this voicing, which is really pretty, I thought it was this. Whoops. Same notes in But instead of having this F sharp in the bass, which maybe he's not playing on the recording, I didn't really like spend a lot of time transcribing. I just kind of listened to it and was like, oh, it's more like this. But I was thinking beforehand, just from memory, I guess I'm playing that, but also I'm playing E flat. So I'm playing this F sharp I was playing here, but I'm also playing E flat. So what I'm thinking of when I'm doing this is I'm thinking of another floor of the elevator, not shell chords, but rather octave chords. So octave chords we need to know how to do. Whoops, do I know how to do them, right? There we go. I just forgot. And in the elevator document, I talk about 3 versions of octave chords. And I'm doing one particular one. It is the one where it has a shell on top, and it's a high version of a shell as opposed to a low version. But that's talked about in that document and in that episode, the elevator episode. So what I'm doing is I'm taking this octave chord for E flat minor 6, and I'm looking at this third, and I'm just like I was for the shell. If it were just a shell, now I'm gonna, and I like that sound a lot. I like this, but I like it because I have a major 7th here and a major 7th here, and I feel like this is so pretty. That's really pretty. So let's take that and let's explore doing that up and down the scale. So we don't have to just do that one, right? And that's what Barry teaches us, is to explore these things. So instead of those, I'm going to go down the scale. Maybe I'll start from the diminished. So then, so that would be like, and then let me get in there. Maybe. Pretty stuff. So that's a pretty sound. And all I'm doing is I'm taking an octave chord of the diminished. I'll put a little chart up, and then I'm going to borrow the triad on the third on top. So. So what about going down to the next one? So now that would be, my octave chord would be, so then, that's pretty. If I want more time. So it's, stuff. I'll go up the scale now. So I started here. So now instead of there, I'm going to be here. This is a diminished note, and this would be the octave chord, same as this one. But now I'm going to be. Which is pretty. So that's. Pretty stuff. I'm just moving thirds around a lot. Again, that is where that came from. So that was. So this is the octave chord for diminished, and I'm just seeing this third. I'm going up to this third within the scale that is D, that is E flat minor 6 diminished, which is the tritones minor, right? So then I have to go up to scale degree 3. And that would be this. But now I'm going to go, ooh, that's pretty. Watch this. See, this is interesting because this chord if I just played this chord, you might say, well, this is F sharp major 6. But I'm saying it's, whoops. See, I'm saying it's this. And then I'll play G major 6 here, the same voice. So in other words, when I take E flat minor 6 in this octave chord version, and I just borrow 2 notes, those are 2 diminished notes, it seems like it's maybe a major 9 chord, but it's not. Isn't that pretty? So it's like it's almost like I'm just half step up sliding to G, but I'm not. I'm doing something. This is G major 6. So isn't that nice? So that is, and you could go on up, you know, you could do it at each position. So this would be, so that is taking the diminished octave chord again. And I could do one more. This is, maybe I'll do that one here. So this would be, but that wouldn't be an octave chord, it would be this. This is the voicing I'm doing. So that is tricky. So that's nice. I've never done that before. That is, so it's this, and then, so that is, isn't that pretty? So that's taking this idea that Barry did, which was, but he did like something like that, which is really pretty. But then we get this. What was it? That one is one that I'm not used to. So, which is really pretty. So that is, I'm seeing this octave chord, and then I'm taking this third, and I'm just moving down my scale, which I think I did correctly. I'm going to say I did. Yeah, I did. That's correct. Yes. That is a confusing area for me, but it's really pretty. So I hope this has been fun, and I think, you know, the point is that, yeah, if we're not borrowing, we're not really doing it. We're not really playing in the way that Barry has shared with us to play. Listen to that recording, you'll hear it all over the place. And this is why when someone says, you know, Barry teaches kind of an older sound, with borrowing, you can get to any sound. I've said that a bunch before, so I'm kind of repeating myself, but it's a lot of fun. So I hope you guys get into it, and let me know what you think. Thanks a lot for watching, and keep practicing.